Peru, social movements mobilized nationwide while the general strike advanced, demanding a constituent assembly and the freedom of former President Pedro Castillo. Member countries of the Bolivarian Aalliance of the Peoples of our Americas People Trade Treaty, ALBA-TCP, issue a joint declaration closing the 22nd summit of the regional body in Havana. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov warned that if the United States delivers sophisticated air defense missiles to Ukraine, Moscow could see this as a new provocation and take action. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela, and this is our news. This Thursday, social movements mobilized at national level in Peru, while the general strike advanced demanding a constituent assembly and the freedom of former President Pedro Castillo. Despite the fact that the Peruvian government declared a state of emergency for 30 days in the country, the mobilization's organizers invited the citizens to join the protesters. Also, those who promoted the national strike indicated they expect the massive demonstrations in the region of La Libertad, Arequipa, Lima, Cusco, and Cajamarca. Since his imprisonment, a sector of Peruvian society have moved to express their support for Castillo and demand his release. Meanwhile, the National Human Rights Coordination has reported that at least 8 people have died as a result of police repression against the protesters. In the meantime, the hearing against the former Peruvian President Pedro Castillo continues. The Public Prosecutor's Office has required 18 months of pre-trial imprisonment for Castillo and for his former Prime Minister Aníbal Torres for alleged rebellion crimes. In the request to the court, the prosecution suggests Castillo should be sentenced to at least 10 years in prison for allegedly perpetrating a coup d'etat. Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva pledged to improve the life quality of homeless citizens. The President-elect of Brazil made a statement during a meeting with the national movements of recyclable material collectors in the city of São Paulo. The next head of state of Brazil affirmed that in past years, the people affected by extreme poverty have been disrespected. He also added that he will order his ministers to go out to the streets to directly attend to the needs of homeless citizens and confirm that he will concentrate his efforts to give a dignified life to this sector of the population. A government delegation headed by the President Xiomara Castro will sign on Thursday a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations for the installation of an international commission against corruption and impunity in Honduras. The Honduran President Xiomara Castro and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres met to agree on some elements and steps to follow with the mechanism. It is defined that during the first quarter of 2023, both parties will define the sources of financing for the CICIH with the support of the international community. On Wednesday, El Salvador's Legislative Assembly approved by a large majority an extension of the emergency regime in forms of the country since March 27th, with the addition of 2 new criminal offenses. The decree passed with 67 votes in favor, 6 against, and 9 abstentions, despite strong criticism from international human rights organizations. Security sources stated that out of over 60,000 people detained, some 2,100 were released as no relation with the maras or guns have been proven. So far, the Human Rights Ombudsman's Office has received over 4,000 complaints for alleged violations of rights during the emergency regime. With the support of the Pan-American health organizations, Haiti received around 1.2 million doses of oral cholera vaccines as cases continue to rise in the country. The vaccines ALBA-TCP was provided by the International Coordinating Group on Vaccines Provision, which managed the global cholera vaccines pandemic following a request by Haiti's Minister of Public Health and Population. The country's vaccination campaign is set to begin in the next days, initially target populations over the age of 1 year in City de Sol, Dalmas, Traverse, Resort, and Port-au-Prince. And on Wednesday, members countries of Bolivarian Aalliance for the Peoples of America's Peoples Treaty, ALBA-TCP, issued a joint declaration closing the 22nd Summit of the Regional Body in Havana. The summit closed with a declaration ratifying its strengthening and rejecting the attacks against the progressive leaders of Peru, Nicaragua, Bolivia, and Argentina. ALBA-TCP, head of states and government and other delegations also welcomed the signing of a partial agreement for the protection of the Venezuelan people, the peace talks between the government of Colombia and the ELN, call for the international solidarity for Haiti, and ratified the rejection as expressed by President Daniel Ortega of the destabilizing actions against the region. And on Wednesday, Venezuela's ambassador to Colombia, Felix Plasencia, was appointed executive secretary of the Bolivarian Aalliance for the Peoples of America's Peoples Treaty at the 22nd Summit of Head of States and Government held in Havana, Cuba. The diplomat will replace a former Bolivian minister, Sacha Llorenti, who congratulated his colleague on his new appointment through his Twitter account, and which is very succeeding in his new role. We'll take our very first break now. Don't go away. Welcome back. On Thursday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov warned that if the United States confirmed to deliver the sophisticated air defense missiles to Ukraine, it will mark yet another provocation that could prompt a response from Moscow. Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said that the U.S. has become a party to the conflict in Ukraine, following reports that the American country intended to provoke Kiev with rapid air surface-to-air missiles. Zakharova added that the increased transfers of such sophisticated weapons is greater demand of the military personnel in hostilities and could have consequences. In Belgium, European Parliament President Roberta Metsola announced a sweeping reform of the control mechanism within the legislative body in response to the scandal that led to the arrest of influential Greek MEP. After speaking at the European Union Summit, Metsola said that the comprehensive reform package should have already be the new year. According to the Parliament President, the initiative includes the strengthening of whistleblower protection systems, as well as a ban of access to all new official friendship group and a review of a code of conduct rules. European Union leaders have gathered on Thursday in Brussels for their year-end summit, overshadowed by political distractions in Europe, ranging from the conflict in Ukraine to a bribery scandal. The meeting takes place amid increasing challenges for the 27-nation bloc. The United Nations seeks to expand trade and investment with much of the world's, especially the emerging economies. This year, the conflict in Ukraine has added up against the European economy and has put abroad at the risk of recession. The governments of Greece, Spain, and Italy have reached a report losing at least 1 billion euros in revenue due to the sharp reduction of Russian tourism. The statement was made by the Vice President of Russia's Tourism Industry Association, Yuri Barsakin, said that about 30% of Russian tourism decide for other destinations abroad, while 20% chose to visit domestic regions. And we have more news coming up after this financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back. In India, at least 31 people have died and 20 others have been hospitalized in serious conditions after allegedly drinking tainted liquor sold without authorization. Police officers confirmed several of the 20 hospitalized have lost their eyesight. The victims belonged to the three villages in Bahir state where the manufacturing, sale, and the consumption of liquor are prohibited. Such bans are enforced in several Indian states, driving black market for cheap alcohol made in irregular distilleries that kill hundreds of people yearly. Lebanon's by parliament failed to elect a new president for a 10th time despite the damage the political deadlock is doing to efforts to bail out its bankrupt economy. Parliament is currently split between supporters of the Hezbollah movement and its opponents, neither of whom have a clear majority. Hezbollah opponent Michael Mohab, son of former President René Mohab, won the support of 38 members of the parliament, but once again failed well short of the required majority. Only 109 out of the parliament's 128 lawmakers show up for the vote. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, over 140 people died in the capital Kinshasa due to the past Tuesday flash flooding and mudslide. At least 12 people are still reported missing and there are dozens injured. Local authorities said that some 12 million people live in the 24 neighborhoods of Kinshasa that were hit by floods and landslides. Nearly 40,000 homes were flooded and close to 300 were flattened. And with us now, our correspondent in Qatar, Carlos Montero, brings us information on what is next in the FIFA World Cup, since there is only a few days left for them.
Thank you very much. Today there were no football matches, so that people came here to Mosharif, this market that became the point of union of all the fans. They were sightseeing and enjoying this beautiful city of Dhaka. We already know who is going to play the final. The final is going to be on Sunday. France against Argentina, South America against Europe. And then
Vamos to Argentina.
There are a lot of people who love Argentina. Do you think Argentina is going to win? Argentina is going to win on Sunday?
Lionel Messi, 2. France 1.
2-1.
Di Maria.
Di Maria is going to start. He's going to play the whole game. Thank you, guys. You see, there are many people who love Argentina. Okay, I was telling you, Argentina is going to face France on Sunday. Saturday, Morocco lost last night against France. It was the African dream. They couldn't make it to the final, but they're going to fight for the third place, and they're going to play against Croatia on Saturday. It's going to be really an interesting game. But France against Argentina, Mbappe against Messi, the two national teams, they won 2 times the World Cup, so let's see who is going to go home with the third World Cup. Messi has 5 goals in this World Cup, Mbappe has 5 goals in this World Cup, so let's see who is going to finish with more goals at the end of the World Cup. Okay, this is all the information for right now. I go back to you at the studios.
And just as the hearts of millions of fans live the emotion of the Qatar 2022 World Cup, teleSUR joined this sporting event with From the Field, a show that brings news, analysis, reviews, and more to our audience. Don't miss it. Our show airs 1 p.m. local time in Caracas and 12 p.m. local time New York. Remember, From the Field, only on teleSUR. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English, I'm from the South, Samara Marrero, and thank you for watching.